Where are you headed? Can I get a lift? Amazing, thanks. Hi, my name is Rory Lambson. I'm a local resident of the Swartland, a chef and a coffee roaster. And I spent the past few days hiking around the Swartland wine and olive route, meeting some of our amazing producers that are sitting here with us today. Thank you guys so much for all your time, and I'm so glad you could make it out to visit us this morning and be part of our amazing tasting. Thank you guys as well, everyone who's tuning in. I'm sure you are very keen to meet all of our producers and to taste what we've done with their olive oils. My first stop around the Swartland wine and olive route was Kloovenburg. Let's see how we got there and who I met. Welcome to Kloovenburg.
Thank you very much.
I've come to invite you to our olive oil and food pairing that we're holding a bit later in the month.
That will be fantastic. I have a bottle of Kloovenburg olive oil for you.
Brilliant.
Especially for you.
Just what I was looking for.
Thank you so much. I've got a couple of ideas for this oil.
Good. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you were able to make it today, and thanks for everyone who's tuning in as well. As you've seen, we've been scouring the Swartland for our liquid gold, doing a bit of prospecting in the area. And so finally it's come time with all of our producers are here, and we're going to have an amazing time today. I had such a good time hitchhiking around the Swartland and seeing the beautiful area that we live in, and meeting everyone around this table. I'd like to have a bit of a chat to everyone and you know, get to know you a bit more and know your story and why you guys are in olive oil. And we're going to start with the lovely gentleman over here from Kloovenburg, Peter.
Yes, welcome. Thanks a lot, Rudy, for inviting. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the golden liquid, because it's definitely the golden liquid of the Swartland.
Yes.
We're also very known for our wines.
Yes.
But I'm thinking on the moment olive oil is really the next best thing what's going to happen in the Swartland. And we had started, we are the oldest farm in the Swartland region. We had starting with olive production. We had approximately 22 to 25 hectares of olives now. And the main reason why we had started to plant it was to extend our workforce, to give them longer work on the farm, and also to diversify it. When I had started coming back from university, we only was concentrated on wine grapes, and now we are diversified with 3 other products. The olive oil is doing very, very good in the Swartland, and especially, if I may say, on Kloovenburg, because we have the scale, the Malmesbury type of scaly soil, which we also, it's the same like in the wine business. The terroir is very, very important.
You spoke about the Malmesbury shales that the olives grow in. So where exactly is the farm situated?
The farm is situated on the R46. When you're coming from Malmesbury over to the beautiful Riebeek Valley, you will see the first farm at the left-hand side is a white wall farm. The scale is very, very important. Like you can see, olives growing in Spain, also in Italy. It's mostly planted high up in the mountains, and the same in the Swartland of Kloovenburg that we had tried. On the farm, we're doing approximately last year 20,000 liters that we produced by ourselves. Then my wife, she also doing some other products like beauty products, and a lot of products that we're doing at Kloovenburg. That we do everything on the farm so far. And the main reason why we have planted olive trees, if you see in the Bible, it's all like peace. And I plant 6,000 trees to have peace on the farm. Okay.
So all of this is part of the diversification of the farm.
100%.
So, and when did you start making the other products?
We had planted in 1984. My dad had first planted the olive trees, and then in 2000 when we were starting with the wine cellar, then we had started with a small olive press, and now we have a much more bigger one.
A bigger one. Everything done on the farm.
Everything we do on the farm, yes. All the liquid gold.
That's good. All the liquid gold. There you go. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that you made it out today, and thank you for giving us the beautiful oil that we're going to be tasting a little bit later with the dishes that I prepared. And thanks for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. And just across the road, pretty much, is Het Vlock Casteel. And I hiked down there. Well, I didn't really have to hike. I could walk to go see their amazing setup. There you are. Morning, how are you doing?
Hello, Rory. I'm good. And yourself?
Very well, thanks. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, welcome here.
Thank you. Your place is amazing. I love all the products that you've got.
Yeah, you know, Riebeek Kasteel has so much to offer.
Oh, I can believe that. So, talking about interesting, I've come to invite you to our olive oil and food pairing that we're holding a bit later in the month.
Thank you. I would like to do that.
Thank you. And I'd love it if you could possibly give me a bottle of oil to play around with.
Yes, absolutely. And then you can play around.
Thank you so much. Looks amazing. I'm sure I've got something up my sleeve with this oil.
Amuse us.
I will definitely.
Yes.
See you soon.
Okay, all right, Rory. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for coming. I know it's a very busy time of year for everyone in the olive oil industry, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the invite.
It's a pleasure. So while I was hiking, approaching Het Vlock, it's just such a nice feeling going into the farm. Peter, our previous guest, spoke about diversification. And I know walking into your guys' place, there's such diversity. You guys do such a range of different products. What made you focus as well on olive oil?
Our farm, Moorster, is a fruit farm, and there's quite a large variety of different fruits. When Riebeek Kasteel came on the map, thanks to the Olive Festival, we thought it fit to add olives as well. So we started off very small with the olives, but later on it became quite a big part of my shop. I also studied food science, BC Food Science. You can use that in all your products and play around and develop new things, etc. So with olives, I always say it's like the sky. There's not an ending. We do with different cultivars, just to show people that not all olive oil are the same.
I'm glad you said that it's a fruit farm, because I think people so often forget that an olive is actually a fruit as well.
That's right.
And the way that you farm it influences the flavor of the end product. And the oil that I'm using from you today is your PPC block. And I chose that specifically because it's unirrigated. Tell me a bit about how you feel the farming method influences the oil.
It's like wine. The same principles goes for olive oil as well. Everything plays quite an enormous role. If you have the same cultivar from year to year, it may also differ, just like wine. We like to have our olive oil, the different ones, as separate cultivars, as well as a blend that we call a flock blend. Actually, it came naturally to add the olives from PPC as well. PPC is the cement factory. I sometimes joke and say that we added a bit of cement there, But actually they grow the olive trees, it's 10 kilometers basically from the farm. How we actually started off with this agreement with them, they asked us to come and pick the olives. We pick the olives and we press it, and the arrangement is we keep a bit of the oil, and the rest go to them. So that's a nice add to our range. The soil is plus minus the same, but on our farm all the olive trees are irrigated, and we use fertilizer on it as well. In their case, it's Mother Nature. It is only rain and no fertilizer at all. So it's interesting to compare our Frontoya, same cultivar, to that one, totally different oils. And I always, we do a lot of olive oil tastings in the shop as well. And I always tell people the soil and the climate, the rain, plays a big role. And here, just 10 kilometers from us, we can actually show that.
It's amazing to bring the wine word terroir into it.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Great. Because I think it really does play a difference, and especially comparing the PPC block Frontoya to what's on the farm.
And if you look around the table, many of these farms, they have a combination of wine and olive oil. So I think it fits together.
Yeah, well, wine and food, olive oil and food. I mean, I think it's a great combination.
Yes,
well, thank you so much. I really appreciate having an amazing chat. And next up, we've got Derek from the Olive Boutique, and they do a lot of pressing in the area. And we're going to have a bit of a chat to him about the process. Afternoon, Derek. How are you doing?
I've been expecting you, Mr. Hitchhiker.
Thank you so much. I've come to invite you to our olive oil and food pairing that we're going to be holding a little bit later in the month. And I'd love to grab a bottle of your oil to use.
I'd like to present you with this gold medal, delicate, award-winning Olive Boutique Frontoya olive oil.
Will do. Great. Thank you so much. It looks amazing. I've got a couple of ideas of what I want to do with your award-winning delicate oil. Thank you so much.
And I hope it goes down and suits your tasting and you'll start well.
I'm sure it will. That's yours.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite. Thank you very much.
See you soon. Bye. Derek, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time as well and making it out here, especially during this very busy time. I know you guys have been pressing olive oil from 6 o'clock this morning. And I'd really like to find out a bit more about the process. But before I ask you about that, why did you come and start your business here?
Kloovenburg was the originator of bringing oil into our valley. And then we had the Olive Festival. And then Het Vlock came in as well. And the valley has become very well known for olives. And people always ask, why are we so well known for olives? And why do people travel literally on holiday miles to come as an olive destination into the Riebeek Valley? It's not well known because of its being a major producer of olives, although I think when I did the numbers, we do about 6 or 7% of the Western Cape's production of olive, but it's not a big number. It's not the biggest award winner, although between us, we win more than enough gold and silver awards, but we're not the biggest award winner in South Africa. But what we are is we're almost unique. It's almost a small Italy. We are self-sufficient in olives and olive oil. So virtually everybody in this valley as a homeowner either has 2 olive trees, knows somebody who has 2 olive trees, or knows where you can go and borrow the olives to go and take them to be pressed, which is almost unique in South Africa. I don't know of any other village that's like that. When you sit down during the season now and you go and have a beer at the bar, the language is about olives and what your trees look like, what's your yield this year. It is a unique valley of olive oil culture in the middle of South Africa. And we're the village mill. Apart from Kloovenburg and Het Vlock that have their own mills, we are the next mill, and we're the only other mill in the valley. Our smallest comes from our local artist, a guy called Gordon Williams, who brings us about 3 kgs from his one tree. And he brings it to us in a brown paper bag, and he drops it off us probably about the second week of milling. And we get about 250 mils of that. And Gordon brings us his own, he's got his own label, and we bottle it from him, and he puts his own label, and he invites his mom around for the first Sunday dinner of the season, and the olive oil goes on the table, his own extra virgin olive oil with his mom and his Sunday morning dinner. And the whole of the valley's like that. It's become a unique feature of this valley, so and we will press for those. So we are the village mill.
I didn't realize you'd press something so small.
If you can weigh it, we will press it.
That's amazing. I can weigh one olive.
Yeah.
Makes me want to plant a few trees just across the road.
When you talk to people in the area, we sort of say, when did the guest houses start and when did the restaurant start? They all will tell you it started just after the Olive Festival. You can't have wine without olives, without fruit, without lamb. I see it in the extension of the Swartland table. So Swartland is an area that is not just diversifying because it wants to keep its workers busy, it is becoming the table.
As you say, you're the village press, but you guys don't grow any of your own olives.
We have an arrangement with Sonquestrift Farm. So it's one of the original farms, and on that farm, 5 hectares of olives, which is dedicated to supplying us. It's a mixture of Fantoya, Coratina, and Licina, which we're different to the Tenoir because we're down on the Berg River where our olives come from, and it's probably quite a bit colder and stays colder a bit later and gets some of the earlier rain. So it's a very different Tenoir, and the Fantoya is very different. And it's the same with our Coratina, is also very late, so our intensity comes from a much more greener Coratina. So it's again the Tenoir. It's just like the wine, the different Tenoir, the different tastes, the different palates. So that is what we keep for our own branded olive oil. For the olive is the Sonquist for Olive Boutique. The rest, whatever the guys bring us, is what they get back. And some of them put a lot of, and they get some very good oil back. Some guys are still learning, and they can be independent. They can produce stuff. They don't have to conform to the extra virgin and the sting. All the stuff comes in, and the guys take their own olive oil back like they want their olives. We will press for 120 people during the course of a year. And so we see all these different styles, all these different olives. It's actually amazingly interesting, and it's fascinating because we taste all of them that come through.
I actually wanted to bring that up now. So obviously tasting is a great part of the process of assessing an oil, and you guys have quite a range. How do you go about making your blends?
We also like to be single cultivar because each cultivar has a taste of its own.
Yeah.
If it's a lovely Fantoya that can stand by itself, we would like to use it by itself. If it needs a little bit to extend its shelf life, or a bit more fruit, or it's lost some of its nose, in order to get the nice balance of flavors. Oil is a flavor profile of fruit, bitter, and pepper. And you have to balance those three. You can't be too bitter, you can't be too pepper. Give its best presentation and best of the meal. We sometimes need to mix and blend a cultivar a certain percentage. And that's a judgment call as it comes, because your early oil is a bit more intense. Your late oil from the same tree, your late olives, is a bit milder, but a better yield. So you will also take early and late and try and balance those to give it that reflection across that flavor profile. If you don't achieve it from that single cultivar, you then use another cultivar to balance back.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the information.
Pleasure. I'm looking forward to the tasting.
Yeah, me too. So from the Olive Boutique, I hitchhiked all the way to the Paardeberg, and I ended up at Lammershoek, where I found Marius tending to his new trees.
How are you?
Well, and yourself?
I'm good.
Good to see you. What you busy with?
Oh, just tending to the new plants we planted last year, and yeah, it looks good and healthy.
Looking beautiful.
Yeah.
So as you know, I'm busy with an olive oil and food pairing, and
Yes.
I desperately need to taste some of your oil.
Okay, let's go to the tasting room and taste some olive oil. Yeah, welcome to our tasting room. Let's sit down and have a sip of olive oil.
Thank you so much, man. It looks brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, nice and cool.
Yeah.
This is our latest harvest, so
Amazing. Look at that color.
yeah, it's amazing.
That is great.
Great
I've
stuff.
definitely got a few ideas of what I can pair with this olive oil.
Yes, that's amazing.
And I would really like if you could come and attend the tasting with us.
I will certainly be there.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
great.
it.
Yes.
Better be on my way.
Yes. I must give you a bottle. You can
Brilliant.
sample it. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Man, thanks so much for making it out. I had such a great time hiking to your farm. It was very hot when I got there. And when I found you,
Yes.
you were busy tending to the new trees that you guys have just planted. Can you tell me a bit about what cultivar you planted and how many years do you think it's going to take before they're really productive? I mean, the olive trees that we've got at the moment are bearing olives, but I can't imagine that you can do anything with them at the moment.
Like you see, they already have olives on now, but we are not going to use them. But 7 years, you grew with your trees,
Yeah.
you know, like now they get bigger, you also,
There you go. So it's definitely faster to go buy a bottle of olive oil.
yeah, it's easier. Now it's always better to have your own oil and your own preserves. We decided last year, 2020, because of the COVID, you know, to do something positive, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's a Greek saying, if you plant an olive tree, you'll live forever. You know. So we decided to plant some olive trees.
There's very few fruits out there that you can get two distinct products like this out
Yes,
of it.
yes, for sure.
I didn't see any sheep on the farm. I saw some olive trees and some
Yes.
pretty old looking vines, but where does the name come from?
Yeah, Lammershoek is one of the oldest wine farms in Swartland. It stretched from Lammershoek, where it's now, to the Riebeek mountain. So it was actually quite a big farm. Lammershoek is 180 hectares at this stage. We have 54 hectares of vineyards. Our vineyards are like 60 years old. We have Chenin Blanc, 60-year-old Chenin Blanc, Tinta Barocca, some quite old cultivars and stuff. Lammershoek, the name is Lamb's Corner. It's where the farmers in the older days, or in the past, you know, they took their sheep, and the sheep to, there was like many trees and stuff, you know, and it was like a shelter. And the black eagle usually catches the lamb, and that's why it's Lamb's Corner, you know.
Oh, I can see the eagle as well.
The eagle, yeah.
I can't wait to taste your guys' oil with our dishes. From Lammershoek, I just caught a lift over the ridge to Dragon Ridge, funny enough, and I met Johan there. We had a great time.
Hi, Rory.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Good. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
Thank you. I've come to invite you to our olive oil and food pairing that we're hosting later in the month.
Okay, that
Love it
sounds
if you-
really excellent.
You guys
That'd
could
be great.
attend.
Yeah, you like to come and taste them?
I would love to come and taste some.
Good.
Great. So where are we going?
I will just sit down here, I think.
Great. Spoiled. Got snacks as well.
We've got,
Great.
we've got a little bit of bread and some chips and guacamole.
It's been a long day, so it's much needed.
This is our 2020 oil blend. Frantoia, Lucchini, Mission, Corotino, a couple of others. Quite buttery, bit of vegetation and some pepperiness comes through.
Nice herbaceous notes as well.
A little bit of bitterness.
Very much so. You know, can I possibly grab a bottle of
Sure,
that?
we have a bottle right here you can have. Stick
Brilliant.
that in your bag.
Thank you so much. I will do. One last sip for the road.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Excellent. Good plan.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Very well.
I'll see you at the event.
See you.
So going from Lammershoek to your guys' farm, it is beautiful. It was very hot and very dusty, but as you approach your farm, you can see it's nestled in this I want to call it a valley almost, and there's a lot of natural Fynbos or renosterbos in the area. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, it's very little renosterbos. It's mostly just sort of Cape granite Fynbos. So Paardeberg is one of the only 2 mountains in the Western Cape which are granite based. Paarl Mountain and the Paardeberg. And of course that is what also lends itself to the wines that we produce.
Okay.
The granite sands and decomposed granite are kind of unique to the area.
There's some old, looks like Californian rootstock that's growing out again, which tells me that vineyards were removed where the olives are planted now. Did you guys do that?
It was probably, in retrospect, silly, but there were some olives on the farm, and we took out some of the older vineyards from the early 70s. We have still got vineyards from 63 and from 1926, some Chenin.
Yes, that's it.
What we do is we make wine, we do olive oil, we do a bit of olives. We take our olives to the olive boutique to be pressed. So I think we took some yesterday, now oil.
There you go. Yeah, because when I arrived on the farm, you guys were busy harvesting.
Yeah.
And that's something great to see, because I mean, I think there's a disconnect as well between the consumer and the producer, and people forget how much work actually goes into producing something. Because, I mean, each olive has to be picked when it's ripe to be pressed. How do you know when to harvest the oil?
So we try and pick around about 1/3 black, 1/3 green, and 1/3 mixed.
Mm-hmm.
So we do want a fairly aggressive oil. We actually don't want a very soft. I think ours comes out as medium. It is quite buttery, but it's got quite a lot of pepper and quite a lot of dustiness.
It gets more peppery the more you drink.
It does get more peppery as you drink it.
There's this misconception that olive oil gets unhealthy when you start to cook with it, because people have this perception that the unsaturated fat turns to saturated fats. The turning point of oils is far higher than what you're going to use in a pan to cook your food with. Otherwise, you'll just burn your food.
You will see on margarine tubs, it says made from polyunsaturated oils.
Yes.
Okay? The process of making margarine involves you heating oil to make it mix with water.
Yes.
That instantly makes all of those unsaturated things saturated. The one thing you know is that you should not eat margarine. Butter, olive oil are all healthier.
And much tastier as well.
So I think we should encourage people to use olive oil all the time.
I think so.
And especially South African olive oil, which we know is the best in the world.
I definitely think as well that the perception of olive oil, the uses for it, are, in terms of what we can do with oil and what it does for food, there's so much more potential out there. So I definitely agree that we should get people to consume oil, but in different ways. It's not just the salad dressing. It can be used for cooking. It can be used to alter the flavor of dishes as well.
You were talking about what a kind of a very popular dish in Italy is just simply crushed black peppercorn, olive oil, and pasta.
Yeah.
That is the whole dish.
What is that called?
Cacio e pepe.
Cacio e pepe, yeah. Oh, you got aglio olio as well, which is garlic and olive oil. I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty much it. So it can really influence the flavor of food, and that's definitely what I want to try and show everyone here later when we do the tasting. Is what it can do to the flavor of food.
But thanks very much for the invite, for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
I know it's a busy time of year, and
well, we're going to pick more olives.
there you go. That's what we want. We want more olives. Thank you. And speaking of which, more olives. I took a pretty long hitchhike all the way to Riebeek in Piketberg. And it took me quite a while to get there, and it was very hot, but it was well worth the hike. And next up, we're going to go chat to Jan from there. Morning.
Where are you going?
I'm going towards Iraq.
Oh, hop on, I'm going there as well.
Amazing, thank you. Jan,
Hey,
man.
Rory.
how are you doing?
Fine and you?
Good, thanks. I understand you were here busy with your new employees.
Yes, we brought them to the farm to help us to do some weed control and leaf plucking.
That's amazing, man. I love your guys' farming methods and your oil. Speaking about oil, I'm here for a bit of oil, man. If you've got some for me.
I was expecting you, strangely enough.
Thank you so much. We've got a lot of ideas for it. Here's an invite for you, man. I'd like you to come and taste what I've done with your oil later in the month.
Definitely.
Great, thanks, man. Have a good day.
All
Ciao.
the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for making it out here. I really appreciate you making the time and coming all the way. I mean, the Swartland is quite a big region, actually, or it feels like it. To your guys' farm is quite a distance from the Riebeek Valley.
2 days with a horse.
2 days with the horse. Couldn't believe that. Your guys' farm is beautiful. I really like it. It feels so manicured when you get up there. And just driving into the farm, there's olives either side of the road. When were those planted?
The farm was started by the late Nico Bacon in 2002, and we have about 5 hectares of olives, which consist out of four varietals. 85% is from Toyas, and the other 15% is a blend of Kalamatas and Missions. We've got 2 nice big blocks, and in between there's a bit of barren land, 3 hectares roughly. So we'll be planting that just before the winter rain starts.
Okay, so you're going to plant pretty soon. And I almost forgot, I mean, you guys have just got a press. How are you finding pressing your own oil for the first time this year?
It's quite exciting. The farm produced 6 to 7 tons currently of olives, and it was my first experience this year where we have at the press there, and we had an operator that knew his story. So it's quite special tasting the liquid gold coming out of your press with the olives in one side, and the other side your new olive oil comes out.
Yeah, I must say that is such a nice thing, and also tasting it sort of fresh from the press.
Fresh and unfiltered.
Yeah, and unfiltered. It's like a old cloudy white, you know, when you're tasting a wine from the fermentation tanks. But it's amazing to me how olive oil mellows out in the bottle as well. So it is almost like a wine that it ages, and the flavor profile shifts and changes. So going into the farm, you can see it's very manicured, and it looks like you guys have a lot of water. Can you tell me a bit about your farming practices? Because I know you are also a certified organic farm.
Yes, we have organic certified wine, and the olive oil is obviously also organic certified and farmed. Our farm is about 10 kilometers before Piketberg on the Berg River. We have quite a lot of water. We are quite fortunate to be in that position. So with the extreme weather conditions that we have in Piketberg, we have quite strong southwesterly winds and temperatures reaching 40 plus for 2-3 days in a row.
Yeah.
We can give our vines and olive trees enough water.
That's amazing. I must definitely come for a wine tasting as well. So you guys have bought a new press, and I know Johan from Dragon Ridge was saying that his farm is certified organic, but the olive oil is not, because obviously it's going through Derek's press. Is that one of the reasons that you decided to get your own press, is so that you could get a certification or organically certified olive oil?
Logistically, it just makes sense to have a press on the farm and do everything there. We have a small bottling line where we do our wines as well. It's obviously not the same machine, but we have an area where we can bottle our own olive oil as well.
So I heard Jan, the Michelin-starred chef, has bought up quite a lot of your oil.
That's correct. We do a custom label for Jan's. So it's our olive oil, and we bottle it on the estate with Jan's label on. And yeah, he quite enjoys our oil.
There you go. Well, that's great. It's something to be proud of, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to get to the tasting, and you can also appreciate your own oil with the dish that I've paired it with today.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. So next up, the part that everyone's been waiting for. let's get tasting the oils and get the pairing going so we can appreciate all your guys' hard work. Welcome back. So now we've got our amazing tasting plate in front of us and a new face next to us. This is Linda Costa, one of our super olive oil professionals and responsible for a lot in the olive industry in South Africa. Welcome, thank you so much.
Thank you, great to be.
Thanks so much for coming. So now that we've got our food in front of us and our oils from our amazing producers in the area, how does one go about tasting oil? And how does one classify it? Can we do a bit of a tasting quickly to show everyone?
We can indeed. And I think the big thing about tasting olive oil is we taste it to ascertain what the quality is like and to try and get an idea of which food you would pair it with. But we must always remember that we don't consume oil neat. So we're tasting it purely to assess it. But what we really do is use olive oil on food. So in order to taste it, if you'd like to pick up your first
I would.
We just warm it up a tad, because the best temperature at which to taste your oil is about 28 degrees. So you just want to warm it up a little bit to get all those beautiful volatiles available for you to smell, because you can only smell something that is volatile. So all that care that the producer took to make the oil to conserve those volatiles, we'll now be able to enjoy if you just heat it up slightly. And then we'll lift the lid and take a nice deep breath. And when we smell it, what we need to make sure is that everything we smell is something positive and attractive. If there's anything in the nose that we don't like, it could indicate a defect. And we don't want to spoil our gorgeous food with a defective oil. So we want to make sure that the oil that we're going to add to our food will only enhance all those wonderful flavours, and that's exactly what it does.
Where does one get a defect in oil? Is it from the olives that are used, or is it part of the milling process that adds defects?
You know, there are different defects that come in at different stages. If your olives are not pressed immediately after harvesting, you'll find an aerobic fermentation happens in the olives if they stand around too long. So that would be one defect, which would be a winey defect. And then, of course, if the oil is exposed to too much oxygen, at every step of the way, whether it's pumping it from one tank to another, whether it's being, left open for too long, any little bit of oxidation will actually detract from the quality of the oil.
And does heat in the mill also do that?
Yes, because extra virgin olive oil should be made, the whole process should take place at a temperature below 30 degrees, which isn't even body temperature, so it's a very cool process. And it's only through that cool process that you can actually, entrap all these wonderful aromas, because any heating will then, would release the aromas. So you want it to stay as cool as possible. So if you harvest on a hot day, it's very difficult to keep your paste and everything at a low temperature. So you've got to keep your olives cool before they go into the press.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Okay, so let's have
Let's go.
nice and clean oil, nice and fresh, lovely nutty flavours together with a bit of grassiness. So you from the nose, and remember the nose actually gives you most of the information about an oil. You can smell it. You can immediately smell if there's something wrong with the oil.
And so when do we taste it?
Now we take a little sip, let it coat your mouth, because you pick up different flavours in different parts of the mouth. So you'll pick up fruitiness on the tongue, bitterness on the sides and the back of your tongue. Then as the oil passes down the back of your throat, you get a hint of pepper. Now it's very interesting if we talk about the health benefits of those peppery and bitter notes, because they all are indicators of the antioxidants in the extra virgin olive oil. That's what we're really looking for.
This is such a nice oil. It's really soft.
Lots of nuts on the palate, a little bit of bitterness and a little bit of pepper. But the beauty is that they're all in balance.
I was going to say, it's very nicely balanced.
Very harmonious, a nice harmonious oil. So that will be perfectly paired with delicate dishes, and you could make a wonderful ice cream with something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we're on the second one.
Yes.
You get the different notes on the nose here. Here we get a very different flavour profile. I smell some sort of green vegetable notes, like green salads and a lot of pine nuts. There seems to be, I'm picking up a beautiful nuttiness on this oil. This oil this would make a wonderful ice cream.
It's very different.
Very interesting fruit on the palate and a bit more bitterness, a little bit more pepper, which will put it more in the medium category as opposed to the delicate category. And that pepper builds. You know, it's so interesting that this pepperiness that you taste in the oils is actually an indication of the, it's caused by a compound called oleocanthal, which is actually strongly anti-inflammatory. Now, you know, if we can consume more naturally anti-inflammatory foods, so much better for all the silent inflammation in our bodies that comes from our normal living and eating, you know, not the best foods and so on. Divine.
We only want to eat the best foods. Should we move on to the intense one?
And you know, the virgin oils, extra virgin actually indicates that that is the best of the virgin oils. Now, all virgin oils have to be made exclusively through mechanical pressing of the oil out of the fruit. So no other procedures may be used on that oil. So together with the fact that it's virgin, that the best virgin oils are allowed to be called extra virgin, and they have to comply with certain chemical tests. But one of the most important legs that classification stands on is the actual taste test. So you get tasting panels that actually taste and determine that there is even a slight, no defect in that oil, and then it can be classified as extra virgin.
Very peppery. That's great. I'm a fan of pretty intense oil. I find that kind of like your light oils or oils on training wheels, and then you build your way up to and more intense oil. But I find I enjoy more and more quite a peppery oil. But I think the application for each oil to bring flavors out in food is so overlooked. I think people just slap it on salads or use it to cook, and we forget that each of these notes that we've tasted or intensities can be used to enhance flavors in foods. So that's kind of what I've done for us today. So each oil that we've got from our amazing producers has got a dish that's been paired with it. So the idea is that we taste the dish without the oil, and then we're going to add a little bit of oil onto it and see what it does to alter the flavor of the food. So we're going to start here on our left, obviously with the light oils, and work our way up through the intensity ladder. So on our left, we've got skordalia, which is a traditional Greek dish made with potatoes. It's an emulsion with olive oil as well, but I've omitted the olive oil so we can really taste what olive oil does to the flavor of the dish. Next to that, we've got some roast artichokes with dried olives and a bit of salami. And the next dish we've got is some roast butternut, puffed pumpkin seeds, pistachio nuts, and a feta crumb. And then we're going to our somewhat classical caprese. So that's obviously your basil, mozzarella, and tomato. And with the tomato, we've got some that are fresh, some that have been blanched, and some that have been slow roasted. So there's a bit of a more depth of flavor. And so that, as we build our way up to through the intensity levels of the oil, we're going to do the same with the dishes. And then we've got some mushrooms that have been smoked with oak shavings and rooibos tea. And we're going to finish our way off with a beetroot hummus. So the beetroot's been roasted in rock salt for 4 hours, and then we've made a beetroot puree and a homemade hummus with that. So you'll get some sweetness, some really earthy notes, and I pair that with an intense oil so that we can get the pepper coming through, and it should complement everything really well. So yeah, should we go?
Try?
Yeah, I'd love to talk our way through it if we can. So taste what you taste.
So we taste a bit without the olive oil.
Yeah, so we taste without first, and we're going to start off with the Olive Boutique. Yeah, we love it. So scordalia traditionally uses fresh garlic, but I've roasted this garlic to try and make it a bit mellow so that we can pair it with the lighter oil.
I must say that the oil just enhances all those flavours of the potato as well as the roasted garlic. It's just amazing.
What do you guys think? You like?
Delicious.
And it rounds the whole flavour profile. It's really...
So everyone's got 2 artichokes, so you can have one with a bit of olive and a little piece of
Especially
salami.
well with the artichokes.
I love artichokes. And I find artichokes and olive oil are great partners.
You know how many olive oils have that artichoke nuance in them?
Yeah, I think it's some of that like herbaceous background that and it just works so well.
It's delicious. Now I feel better.
It also spreads the taste through the mouth and through the oil. It just
So that's one of the points that I actually wanted to bring up, is that lipids or fats carry flavor. And the dishes that we're tasting today, I've kept purposely lean. You'll see it with the mushrooms especially, so that you can realize what fats do for the flavor, or your lipids. So your oil is going to carry that flavor and round it out, and it's going to really make it pop.
It's like the communicator.
Well, it is. It's
Yes.
exactly. It's that bridge between your food and your tongue.
I could actually smell the oil as well, bringing the food to my mouth. You could it changes the smell of the.
It enhances every aspect. It's amazing.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. So yeah, the third oil we've got is our Lammershoek. And so I've paired this with, again, the feta crumb, the puffed pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, it's got sweetness from the butternut.
Yeah, and I think this oil as well has got quite a nutty character in it. So I tried to pair it with the pumpkin seeds and the pistachio just to make that, bring it out a bit.
It goes well, that slightly roasted flavour.
Yeah, and then the saltiness as well of the feta.
Olive oil just adds an excitement to the food, doesn't it? It just lifts everything up. It's fantastic.
Moving on now, up the intensity level, we are going to Dragon Ridge. And we're going to our, as I said, our pretty classical caprese, but with a bit of a play on the way that we prepare the tomatoes and our homemade bocconcini.
Very clever idea to combine the roasted and the fresh. Very nice. Very nice.
I'm surprised that you're using what I would have thought a more delicate oil would go with, but there is a richness in the mozzarella and the tomatoes which needs that
Yeah.
more
We need
intensity.
more intense oil. Indeed.
It's really lovely.
I found this oil when we tasted it the other day. It's got quite a peppery note that comes through in the end. And I really like that with the tomatoes.
Zucchini mostly, Frantoia, next Mission, Coratino, Del Belice and Kalamata.
And he picks very early, so he brings it in quite greenish, and there's an intensity about his oil, which is really about that blend, which is really nice.
And I must say, something with a nocellara oil always goes fantastically with a caprese salad.
So I chose well.
You chose perfect.
I'm glad.
Again, a lot of olive oils have a tomato nuance about them.
I've had
when you-
tomato leaf
Exactly,
nuance.
exactly. So when you're tasting oils, you'll start recognizing these different flavors in the oils as you get more used to tasting.
So next up we've got Orthodox olive oil with the mushrooms. So they're very lightly smoked and there's no oil or fat or anything whatsoever in the dish. So note how the olive oil carries the flavor and rounds it out and just brings it to the forefront. If you taste it lean or without any fat, the flavor's, to me, very short-lived.
I can taste the mushrooms all the way down my throat, whereas for the first bite, I just taste it in my mouth. I can actually,
You get more smokiness without the oil.
it carries it all the way down my throat.
I find it balances the dish. Because also the shimiji mushrooms that I've used bring quite a bit of acidity to it. And just with the olive oil, it just rounds everything out and it makes it linger.
Very special. That's a wonderful demonstration of what the oil does. Rory, we can't have flat plates like this for oil. We need
We
bowls
do.
that we can have a lot more oil in.
So everyone tasting at home, as all these items will be in jars. So when you add the oil, it'll really just cover everything and coat everything.
And I'm making a comment. This is grown in the Swartland.
Everything grows in Swartland.
Everything grows in the Swartland. So
Yeah.
we're addressing
That is
the same
amazing.
season products with the same season oil, with the same tin oil, everything.
That is amazing.
It's amazing.
That's very special.
We like to keep
Thank
local.
you, Rory. Very
It's a
special.
pleasure. And so lastly, we've got our beetroot hummus with our nice PPC block intense oil from Het Vlock. So like I said, the roast beetroot brings out a lot of sweetness and earthy notes. And I'm kind of relying on the fruit and the pepper to come out of the oil and complement the hummus.
Oh, the pepper's good. It needed it. It needed that pepper.
There you go, Linda. Got our bowl.
Beautiful.
So, I mean, I hope this is kind of a good demonstration as to what oil can do to the flavor of food, as opposed to just being a dressing on leaves or just used in a pan to cook with it. It can really contribute to the flavor of food, and it can really alter the flavor of things if you use it properly.
This last dish for me was the best example of what the oil can do. It's the most prominent.
The
oil
mushrooms
flavours.
as well for me.
I think what to me is really interesting is that when you taste the intense oil by itself, you like the taste of the intense oil, and you're right, it's like a progression from a sweet white wine to a red. So you get to like more intense, but you have no idea what it actually does to food until you put it on food.
Yeah.
The intensity disappears and the food comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
The oil characteristics just bring the food through.
In fact, what I was most surprised was that the food in all cases kind of masks the bitterness that you often get. You would very hard to pick up bitterness when mixed with the food.
You don't pick it up.
You don't
Yes,
pick
you
it up,
don't.
eh?
No. But the
But I know when tasting it by itself, you definitely get that.
Yeah.
So you get all the advantages of health without any disadvantages.
And what I just did was I used some of the intense on the delicate food, and you can still pick up the intense. So it's pairing it with the right food that makes that difference.
Yeah, this was great. I even if I do say so myself, just with the oils and I mean the producers in our area are just so good at what they do. It makes sort of my job as a chef a bit easier if you've got good ingredients to work with.
But the pity for me is that so many chefs don't know of oil.
No idea whatsoever.
That's a pity.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a bit of education and a little bit of a nudge, hopefully our chefs will use our local oils and use them properly, as opposed to just buying a generic.
It's going to be the accountant's going to determine that.
Well, guys, no names, and Linda taught me this, to carry my own olive oil into restaurants. She taught me to, and we went into a restaurant, and we asked the guy what was the wine. He could tell me the wine, he could tell me the places it came from, he could give me all different choices. And then I asked about the olive oil. And I said, where does the olive oil come from? And he looked at me, and he said, from the kitchen. And that was his total knowledge about the olive oil that was on that table. And I then asked bring out the chef, and the chef's response, he didn't also know where the olive, he bought it off a shopping list. He didn't know where the olive oil came from. And we asked him to remove the olive table, and we took our own bottles of olive oil out and put them on the table. And I think we need ourselves to accept that responsibility to educate the restaurateurs about their olive oil. We spend plenty of money educating them about wine, and they all know about wine. This is just as important.
Yeah, but I think I think the industry, it's taken a long time. It's going to pick up speed as well.
I think so.
And I think education is a part of doing that. So exercises like this that we've just done now, I think are really important.
It's like the dike in the wall. As soon as the hole in the dike, as soon as it starts, it'll gather speed really quickly. And I'm sure in the past, the chefs may have experienced a defective oil, and therefore the belief is that the oil is too strong for the food, so they say they need something that doesn't have any flavour. They don't want any defective oil, but they don't absolutely appreciate that if you use a good oil, totally different.
With these generic oils that they were importing and just defective oils that were being flooded on the market and sold in 5-litre cans, a lot of chefs can't recognize the defect in the oil. They don't
I
know
think that is
what it
olive
is.
oil. Olive oil
Yeah.
is olive oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get everyone involved.
That was most enjoyable. Thank you, Rory.
Thank you so
Thank you guys
much.
for coming. I really
Fantastic.
appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I just want to thank you all for attending and producing such amazing quality oil and giving me as a chef so much to work with and so many inspirational ideas. And Linda, thank you for attending and bringing all your knowledge to our table. I know there's years of experience in there. And thank you to our partners who made this all possible, the Swartland Wine and Olive Route and Swartland Tourism, because they kind of made this all happen as well. So thank you guys. Have an amazing day.
And thank you
Yeah,
to you,
let's
Rory.
cheers to the
Cheers.
2021 harvest.
Yes.
May it be a bumper crop.
Cheers.
And thank you for everyone for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.